Hey, how's it going? George here with a little talk about goals and specifically how do you know if you have set yourself the right goal and when to know that it's time to change direction. This happened to me a few years ago and I set myself the goal of going back to running 400 meters and breaking 50 seconds, an elusive barrier that I never quite managed to crack when I was more or less a full-time athlete when I was at Loughborough University back in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. In my sort of early 20s, and all the kind of the energy of youth and all the facilities, all the opportunities, the coaching and all those sorts of things. I didn't quite manage to crack it yet. I figured that in my mid 30s, with all that I now know, all the experience I have about training and coaching and my own body and my own recovery and what I respond best to, I reckon I can do it. I can make that goal. I can make it happen. And so I set out to achieve this goal, and I kind of gave myself, I think it was like 6 months to get there. And I quickly realized, well, after about 3 or 4 weeks, that this was not the goal for me. And the main reason why it was so abundantly obvious that that was the case was because I hated the training. And I remembered that hadn't just kind of grown to hate the training over the preceding 2 decades, but actually I'd always hated the training. When I was at Loughborough, I did not enjoy, I don't think anybody enjoys training for the 400 meters. It is an awful, awful distance to train for. But the difference when I was at Loughborough was I was surrounded by my friends, my other 400 meter running buddies, who were going through the same pain, the same discomfort. They were challenging themselves. We were supporting each other. And that was the thing that I loved about running 400s when I was at Loughborough that I did not have when I was doing it by myself, slogging it out, flogging myself around a grass track around the back of the local secondary school. So I knew that this was not the goal for me. And so I had to make the big climb down. I told everybody this is what I was going to do. Had to make the big climb down that, made a mistake. I'm not going to do that. And actually I decided instead of running the 400 meters, I'm going to run 100 miles instead. That's my new goal. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I then did decide to kind of go on to training for, and thankfully managed to complete that challenge. It's a slightly different 100 miles versus 400 meters. But anyway, point is, what is it about the goal that you really want to achieve? Is it just being able to say that you've done it, or is there something about the training, the process of preparing for it? I'm talking about running here. It's not just about running. It's about any goal you set yourself. What is it going to take for you to achieve it? And can you A, handle it, and B, enjoy it and thrive in that environment, in that process? There's a wonderful Jim Rohn quote that says, don't set a goal for what you will achieve, but rather what it will make of you in order to achieve it. And I love that. And that's been my philosophy for goal setting ever since, because I've always looked and think, well, what challenges do I have to overcome that I want to overcome that are going to lead to me achieving that goal? It's not just about being able to tick a box, not just about getting the medal, not just about being able to say, yes, I've done it. That there is something in that, but if that's the only thing that's driving you, then it's probably not going to be enough to keep you going, and also to actually give you the best experience and to grow from the experience as well. So when you're thinking about whether or not the goal you're setting yourself is right for you, it's not just about whether you think it's achievable, whether or not you can actually make it happen. Those things are important, but it's also about whether or not you think you're going to thrive throughout the process of preparing for it. That's my philosophy when it comes to deciding whether or not you set yourself the right goal.